What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and we have a brand new clan in Bloodline Heroes of Lithis. It is the ASKAVARG clan. So of course, I'm going to do a breakdown, talk about which one's better, the male or the female, and what kind of traits and team builds you might want to use with these. But first, download Bloodline Heroes of Lithis, a mobile RPG action fighting game where you can marry your champions to create new and unique hybrids. Use the link in the description to start with some free stuff, including gold and diamonds. See you hopefully soon. Alright, so first I want to apologize for the delay in getting this video out to you, but unfortunately I have some sad news. My cat Basil passed away yesterday. And longtime viewers of this channel are going to remember him because he was my little co-star who made cameos in several videos. He was taken away from us too young, but he had a huge personality and he fit a lot of life into his time here. Things certainly won't be the same and I'm going to miss him a lot. He was my little house lion. Some of you already learned about this yesterday from my community post and have been sending supportive messages to me and my wife, and I really appreciate that. There's no easy way to transition from this to the new clan in Bloodline, but I'm going to do my best. We have the ASKAVARG clan that we're going to take a look at, and yes, it is pronounced that way, even though it's a G, and usually that's a hard G, like G, like Varg, but it's actually Varg. It's a Swedish name, and Varg is wolf in Swedish, so just a little tidbit there for you. Let's take a look at the trait first, and again we're looking at an epic hero, so just know that the numbers on this are going to be higher. It's called Searing Armor. The effect is Fortitude increases by some % for 4 seconds when taking active skill or ultimate attack damage, stacks up to 3 layers. And I think this is a trait that's a good fit for the male in particular. It is a defensive style of trait, one that he's certainly going to need, and we'll cover that in just a minute. And it's really cool that it stacks. Now, whether it's as good as Steadfast or not, I don't know. I think that this one would probably work better than Steadfast on heroes that don't have a lot of strength. So whether you actually need this clan trait or not, I think it has potential. But Fortitude isn't one of the most powerful stats in the game. Typically, as far as protective features go, you're looking for things like reduced damage, or you're looking for some kind of shield or something like that. So I think it remains to be seen. We're going to have to do some testing on this one to see how good that particular effect is, but they did make it more powerful by stacking. So it certainly has potential. Now, let's go take a look at them in the Renowned Champions. We'll look at the male's skills first. Let's take a look at the passive, because that's usually what impacts the board right away. And this one is called Raging Frenzy. Gains a 5-second aura when entering the battlefield. Allied champions within the aura have their movement speed greatly increased and gain control immunity. After the aura expires, the caster gains bonus effects based on the number of affected units. For each allied champion affected, increases aura's duration for 0.75 seconds. For each enemy champion affected, increases the caster's max constitution by 7%. That's fine. Increase the constitution. That, I don't think that's really going to make so much of a difference in this. I think the biggest impact here is, of course, the movement speed. And so that's really, of course, if you can be faster than your opponent, that's one of the more powerful things you can be doing in the game. Of course, others have pointed out that there is a soft cap on movement speed, so it kind of depends on how much other speed you've put on through traits and things like that. Let's take a look at the active skill here, which is Flaming Charge. Charges forward, knocking back enemies along the path and dealing damage equal to 200% of the caster's strength. So we might want to put Brutal on for that particular effect. At the end of the charge, the caster pulls in all nearby enemies and deals additional damage equal to 300% of the caster's strength, and then inflicts taunt on them for 2 seconds. The caster immediately casts this skill once when entering the battlefield. So as with the passive, this active skill is actually impacting things right away, right off the bat. And probably the best thing going on about this skill is the taunt. Now remember, I think this is something that not a lot of people think about when they're looking at stuff like this, but because he's got taunt and he's going to be attacked, he is going to charge really fast, but he's also going to take a lot of damage. So we probably don't need to put traits on this like ambitious to get out ahead, because he's just going to, from the very start, be energizing quickly. So we actually have some room for other traits within this one, which I'll cover in a little bit. But the taunt can be really powerful when you synergize it with other heroes. Like, for example, if you're trying to keep them from, laying off more fragile mages or something like that, and keep their ultimates from going off. If you can pair that with like stunning and silence and all that kind of great stuff, fear, this could potentially be a really powerful effect. All right, let's take a look at that ultimate. Scorching Abyss. The caster consumes 400 energy to cast an abyssal aura upon themselves. The aura costs 200 energy per second to sustain. While the aura is active, the caster gains immunity against all damage but stops constitution recovery. The aura deals damage equal to 5% of the caster's max constitution per second to all enemies within the aura. If an enemy dies within the aura, the caster regenerates 50 energy. So interestingly enough here, there's some incentive to actually put energetic or something like that as a trait on for the damage that's equal to 5% of max constitution. And also because you also have in that active skill, the passive, the increases the caster's max constitution by 7%. So energetic could potentially be a good one here too, but I still think that leaves him vulnerable because he's getting attacked so much that we're probably going to definitely need honorable on this as well. As you can tell with some of the traits I'm mentioning here, there are a lot of base traits, not leaving a lot of room for clan traits, but I don't think you actually necessarily need a lot of the clan traits on that. So do keep that in mind. I think this is a really powerful hero. I'm actually really excited about him. He sounds super fun, just dropping in right away, bowling through the opponents, creating this aura. And if you build him right, he's going to be really powerful. So what would I do? For him specifically, I would probably put focus on him. Just, again, being able to increase the energy and make him go off faster is awesome. But you don't need stuff like ambitious. You don't need to put agile on him. You don't need... Well, you can absolutely have the increased attack speed across everybody, the stone thrower trait, but I wouldn't put that on him necessarily. I'd put that on somebody else, but he can benefit from that too. I would just go with some pretty basic traits on him. Brutal for the strength damage, energetic for the constitution increase and the max constitution damage. And then I would also put honorable on. When you put honorable on a champion like this and it has a lot of constitution, then the opponent has to spend a lot of time, energy, and effort to decrease that constitution because of the honorable, just to have then another hero potentially heal him up. Now, do remember there is a time when he's not going to gain constitution, so keep that in mind. But you're going to want to build him tough, build him big. He's going to do really well with a lot of vigor. I am excited about him. Where do I see him slot in? I don't know if I can put... Well, I have some really good heroes. I wouldn't say I'm like a super whale and have every hero in the game and can build unlimited numbers of powerful teams or anything like that. But I do have good heroes. I have good teams. I have a lot of Bloodcraft champions. So it's going to be hard for me to fit him in on the first team or maybe even the second team. But I think he could have potential. Let's wait to see what he looks like when we're testing him. I think he has the potential to sneak in there. Right now, I would think he probably fits in with my third team the most. And that's where I'm going to start with him, is he's probably better on my third team. All right, so can the female match up to him? Let's check her out. Her passive is Protective Armor. Reduces damage taken from ultimate attacks by 40%. You already heard me say that reducing damage is a powerful type of ability. For as long as the caster survives, other allied champions' damage taken from ultimate attacks is reduced by 20%. So this is going to keep your team alive in addition to her. Her active skill, Fiery Fist, furiously deals blows, dealing total damage equal to 300% of the caster's strength. finishes the combo with an uppercut, which knocks up the enemy and deals damage equal to 200% of the caster's strength, with additional damage equal to 20% of the enemy's current constitution. So here you're being incentivized once again to potentially put brutal on and get a bunch of that strength damage there. The uppercut, that's an interesting type of feature here in this. As far as like the animation goes, it'd be kind of cool. But we have such powerful heroes in the game that basically, it sounds to me anyway, she's going one-on-one with an opponent, and it's going to be hard for her to have an impact if she's just focusing in on one in this day and age. Whereas the male, he's got the taunt, so he's basically getting the whole team to fight him, so he's having a big impact on the board. This is less of an impact, but we're not done reading it. Okay, extra damage cannot exceed 1,500% of the caster's strength. Oh, that'd be so much damage. If you could get 1,500% damage. Hey, I'll tell you what though, if there is a hero that can just basically assassinate an opponent, that would be awesome. I have a feeling she's gonna have a hard time with that though. It would take a lot of strength damage to actually just straight up delete an opponent. But hey, let's see what she does with some vigor. For each enemy hit, the caster's strength resistance is increased by 15% for 4 seconds. Stacks up to 2 layers. And the cooldown is 7 seconds. A cooldown of 7 seconds is a long freaking time in this game. But this is also the active skill. It's not the ultimate. We haven't even gotten to the ultimate yet. Paralyzing Flame. Takes a boxing stance and enters a 5-second defensive state, during which the caster's strength resistance increases by 40%. Strength resistance is pretty cool, so she's going to take less damage from opponents. Rebounds 70% of the damage taken to the attacker. Hello, Male Water and Sun. Let's just throw that damage back at you. She's obviously built to be a counter to him. But not just him. Any of the heroes on the board who are hitting her. This is kind of incentivizing you to put her in harm's way, honestly. So here's the problem, though. As with a number of heroes that they've been putting out to counter Male Water and Sun, she's really only countering the damage here. And his probably most powerful feature is the healing. I mean, he just keeps the whole team alive. So I'm not sure, like, if he's putting out 100% damage and all the healing that he does, and only 70% of the damage is being reflected back, then there's no way that you're going to overcome the amount of healing that's done. So just saying. The further they are, the lower the ratio will be, down to a minimum of 45%. The defense state also provides immunity to control and forced movement effects at the cost of being unable to attack and move. So that's kind of interesting. I think you would absolutely need to pair her with a hero that prevents healing on the other side. If you can prevent the healing, all of a sudden this reflect becomes really good. And where she's going to be best is on those teams that have a bunch of really big damage dealers. So I'm thinking those teams that have like Phoenix and Male Water and Sun, perhaps Bloodstorm, you know. And of course there's others too. Just kind of like taking that all into account. I think they're both cool heroes. I think they do very different things. I think they require slightly different builds as far as traits go. For example, I might consider putting things on her. I mean, obviously brutal is going to be good for the strength damage. And also, I think honorable will be good. She's already doing things like preventing damage and reflecting damage and things like that, but you want to keep her alive. I just love honorable. It goes on almost every champion that I have. And then otherwise, I would consider steadfast for her. I might even consider steadfast for the male, depending on your build and, you know, what you want to do. But steadfast would be good in keeping these alive. As they are tanks, you want them to be attracting attention. You especially want all of the damage to be coming their way. Of course, you know, now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe you just want to put energetic on her and not honorable, which I don't usually recommend, but in this case, because she's reflecting damage, maybe you just want her to take as much freaking damage as possible. But you're going to have to pair her with another healer type in there. So I'm going to pivot on that. Maybe not honorable, energetic. I like energetic on this one, to reflect that damage back. So that would be good. Definitely focused. I put focused on pretty much every hero. And I think that one of the faster attack speed ones could be okay. Although do remember that there's going to be a period of time where she's not attacking. She's taking a defensive stance. So it's not as important on this one. I might just leave the faster attack speed traits off of these heroes, but if you're really, really looking for one, it's fine for the times where she's not in the defensive stance and you want to try and get her to charge back up faster. Just remember that soft cap we had talked about earlier. So those are my thoughts. Who do I think is better? Quite honestly, I'm a little more excited about the male right now. That's who I want to really try out and see how he performs. I think he's got to have a really cool animation too, based on the description of this. I know some people have already been putting out videos of how he performs. The aura looks super cool. So he's a fun hero. He's who I'm favoring at the moment. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I will catch you in the next one.